Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Helen of Phelan Studio, and today is a very mindful mat Pilates class. It's about 30 minutes long, and what makes it so mindful is we're doing lots of coordination exercises. So I know that that can be maybe a little bit intimidating if you're new to this type of practice, but I want you to just be really patient and gentle with yourself. Lean into experiencing all those sensations that build up as we get into some of the tougher movements in this class, and don't take yourself too seriously. It's okay if it's a little messy. It's okay if it's not perfect. It does not need to look perfect. It just needs to feel good. So like, subscribe, and share this class with someone who's trying to bring a little more mindfulness into their day as a little gift to them. And please let me know how you like the class. I'll see you on the mat. Welcome back to Phelan Studio. Today we are doing a 30-minute mat class using our optional ankle weights. To put this on if you want them. And we'll get started on our backs for some core work. So you can lay it all the way down. Find your neutral pelvis, and you can locate that by giving yourself a few tucks and tilts. And then once you've given your back a satisfactory amount of massaging through the floor, find halfway between really arching and really tucking. So the pubic bone and the hip points are level. You feel a gentle wrapping around the ribs and the hips, as well as this sliding down sensation of the rib cage towards the pelvis. You're gonna lift the legs up to your tabletop position without shifting where your hips are, and your knees are stacked right on top of the hips the whole time. You're gonna exhale, curl up, take that right leg down towards the ground, and inhale, bring it back to the sky, and change sides. So I'm just sinking a curl with a single leg toe tap. If your neck is cranky today, you skip the curls. And if you feel this in your back whatsoever, firstly, take a break, rest, and then check back in. Make sure that you are, keeping the knees the same amount of bent, not dropping the feet down, and wrapping those ribs together. So what tends to happen when we experience this in the back is hyperextension of the spine because my abs aren't working and instead my low back area is. So just being mindful of that. Each time you curl up, we protect our neck by pushing the head into the hands. And we're here for one more on either side. Hold your curl, lift that left leg up, and you're just going to take that to more of a run. So it's not fast. When I say run, I don't mean for you to get momentum involved, but it is a slightly different dynamic. If your hip flexors are acting up, you feel them extra, maybe slow it back down. Make sure that you can stay focused into this low abdominal area where we really want to feel it. Maybe you need to reach the arms forward to get a bit deeper in your curl. We're here for 5, 4, 3. Stay in your curl after this next one. You're going to keep the left leg in the air, extend the right leg out straight, and drag it in. Now, if you need to, you can rest your head on the ground for this. Otherwise, we are still holding that curl. My head is totally resting in my hands, even trying to push my hands to the floor as I try and lift up from my sternum. Nice big stretch through that leg each time. Now, I am wearing my ankle weights for these, but if you're feeling, like I said, any low back pain or any extra crankiness through the hip flexors, probably a good idea to take those weights off for today. Totally fine, still really hard, still definitely activating our core. Last 3. Now my left leg is gonna stay bent. I wanna go back into that sort of dynamic change. So what it looks like is I tap my left knee down as I bend my right knee in. Right leg will straighten back out. So it's a little bit more complicated because it's not just the legs doing the same thing. One leg is going to be nice and straight. So you can get your curl up a little bit higher. I like the hands forward for that deepening of the curl, but like I said, if you start to feel your neck there, keep them behind the head or push your head all the way down. Let's go 3, 2, 1. Hold it out there, flex your foot. Tap the heel on the ground. From your obliques, float it up. If you want, you can rest this left foot on the ground as you focus on this leg lift, but it's from deep in the right hip. 5, 4, 3,
Curl deeper. And last one, rest it all the way in. Just take that left knee into your chest and give it a few circles, swirl the knee around. Use this as an opportunity to just oil up the hip flexors a bit. And then you're very slowly going to make it way all the way back to the beginning. And, well, not all the way to the beginning, back to the straight leg variation. So you're going to exhale, curl up through that left leg. Inhale, bring it back in. I think we were adding our curl to that. So curl up as you lift. No, I was right. You're going to hold your curl. It's early on a Monday. Keep your shoulder blades off the ground for these. And try to pause and linger a little bit longer on each of those leg presses. Really try to extend out. Taking your time. It's uncomfortable. It's supposed to be uncomfortable. For 3. Then we go back into that coordination. 2. Let's extend that left leg out one more time. Now change up the legs. Right toes down, left knee bends in. Reach back out through the left. Deepen your curl if possible. Always reinvesting and the deepening of your curl. So it's one of the things that we tend to start to creep down, melt down as we get fatigued, because we're thinking about 900 other things, working from our abs and not our hip flexors, the energy reaching forward, making sure we're breathing, all that stuff. So just checking back in periodically. Make sure you're actually working in your most productive position, the hardest thing for you. Soft through the neck, even though we're in that deep curl. Last 2. And 1, hold that leg out. Tap the heel to the floor, lift it up from left abs. If you want, this right foot can be on the ground for a little bit more support, as can your head. Otherwise, we're still in that position. 5. 4. I want you to feel it from your low abs before the leg even lifts off the ground. Last 2. And 1. Rest it down, hug the right knee in. Just give that leg some swirls and enjoy opening up through this right hip. All right, from here, you're just gonna take this into a little butterfly stretch, trying to relax our pelvic floor here after all of that. So reclined butterfly stretch, I'm grabbing onto my feet or my ankles, or you can sit up for a butterfly stretch, or if there's something else that feels good to you here, you can find that. Just try not to curl your tailbone under. Relax your tailbone to the floor, much deeper stretch that way. Shoulders sliding away from the ears. And trying to let the pelvic floor relax a bit. So the collection that is launching on Wednesday it's called Flowing with Your Flow. And we're doing a lot of movement and how to use your menstrual cycle, your period, as a tool for listening to your body and becoming a little bit more body aware. So a little extra focus on pelvic floor as well, just for fun. Alrighty, from there, if you want, you can slip the weights off your ankles. They're going onto your hands if you're using them, and you're setting up for bridge. That means you're laying on your back, and your feet are hip width apart. The delicate balance of wearing a watch and the weights. Okay. So from here, hands are down at your sides. I want you to make sure you have space behind you because our arms are going to be moving. Graceful little shimmy down the mat. And then go ahead and make it so that your shoulders are far away from your ears. Hands stay down on the ground for the time being as you curl through your tailbone, tuck under, roll up to bridge, squeeze through your glutes here, really press up through the hips, and then slowly unwind back down, keeping the back tips of your shoulders to the floor. We repeat. Exhale, curl under, engaging through the glutes, lift up, breathe, feel the hips opening after all of that ab work, undulate it right back down. We take that 2 more times, we start to add on a little bit. And one final time. Now, take your arms back behind you. Give yourself a nice big stretch here. Try to reach your hands to the very top of the mat, still dropping your rib cage to the floor. If this feels crunchy on the shoulders, bend your elbows until it doesn't feel crunchy anymore. And this time, as you roll your hips up, arms press down. And I want that to be, yes, squeezing through the back of the arm, pushing through the air down, but also like that press down is depressing connection into your core. Like I always think of the fireplace air squeegee things. That's what's happening here as I squeeze down, squeegeeing the air out of your core. Inhale down. Now I know it's really tempting to do a neutral bridge up here, but I still want that articulated bridge rather than just a hip thrust. I want to curl through the spine, undulate up. Nothing wrong with the neutral bridge. I just want to do an articulated bridge today, and I want to be able to control down to that detail. The stronger you press through the arms, the more tricep stuff you're getting. So really firm through the back of the arms, squeezing through the tricep, pushing something heavy away from you, watching that the shoulders don't start to shrug up to the ears. You're gonna lift it up to bridge and stay up in bridge. Keep your hips high, curl the tailbone under, keep wrapping the ribs, and let's reach the arms up to the ceiling. From here, you're going to bend your hips down, lower your hips down as you bend your elbows and squeeze back up. So it's sort of like a little tricep, a skull crusher. I wanna not let my hands come together, I wanna stay parallel. So it all comes down together, it all comes up together. I'm still in the C curve of my pelvis, and once again, that arm connection, especially if you're not using weights, but definitely still if you are, is coming from not how heavy the weight that we're holding, but how much we're squeezing through the back of the arm, how much we're able to stay conscious of what muscles we want working, what muscles we don't want working. Check in with your neck, is it soft? Engage through those glutes on each press up. Last two, soften those shoulders, slide them away from your ears, and one, hold it up here. Now, we're gonna take it to a slightly different setup. So my right arm is back, but my left arm is forward. C curving through the spine. You're gonna lift your right leg up to tabletop as you switch the arms. Take your right foot down as you change it. We'll do just the right side, because I know that's quite a bit. So right leg lifts up as you push down through the right side. I'm still even through my pelvis. Change it out. Really press that left heel through the ground, as well as the left big toe and left pinky toe. You want your standing leg really, really strong. Make sure you keep the glutes engaged, you keep the core wrapped in, no tension in the low back here. Maybe you can even press those hips up a little bit more for 4. 3, we're gonna hold it after this third one, so just mentally prepare. 2, 1, leg is in the air, let's bring both arms up to the sky again, bend at the elbows, drop the hips, press it up, same idea. Everything lowers, everything lifts. Hands are outside my ears, not touching them. Oh my goodness. 5, make sure you're breathing. 4, 3, 2, and 1, set it all the way down. Windshield wiper knees, side to side. Ooh. Okay, let's do that all over again. So we'll start with double leg bridging, just like we did to warm up into that. C-curve tail down all the way, lift it up, and arms go back as your hips go down. Just get back into that sensation of articulating up, articulating down, massage your spine. Make sure you're not crunching up at those shoulders. I find that it's actually that descent down that makes it harder not to creep up into the neck. This is when we feel that tightness here, especially if that's been coming up for you a lot with stress tension. I know it's Monday, so hopefully we had a really relaxing weekend and we're not feeling any crunchiness in the neck in a perfect world. But bend your elbows accordingly if you need more softness there. Now you're gonna lift it up, One more time. And you're going to take the arms up to the sky, bend down at the elbows, press it back up. My 2 feet are on the floor. Now, with my arms, I don't know if you can see from your angle, I'm trying to stay parallel rather than twisting in, just because that's an internal rotation of the arms. And I really want to practice externally rotating, getting comfortable in that really open position. Really nice for the posture. Lots of posterior chain or back body strength, back of the arms, back of the shoulders, the glutes, and of course core is always good all around. Hamstrings a bit too. Last 2, don't rush through it. I know I can feel myself speeding up. Lift up, stay up. Now, again, the trickiness with the arms. We're gonna take left arm back or right arm forward. So as you lift the left leg, you switch the arms. So thump to the ground like I just did, and then change it back out. So if you put those weights around your wrists, it's definitely adding a little bit more spice to the arm work, but I want you to feel it in the arms and the shoulders, not the neck. So if the neck is what's happening, I want you to drop those weights. That's not doing anything good for us. Or maybe you just need to breathe for a moment, take a big sigh, make some noise on that exhale, and join back in a second when you've gotten those muscles to turn off a bit, because you don't need any extra strain there. Try to drive through the air, really push through the space. Can you dig your right heel to the ground, get the hips a little bit higher for 3. We're gonna hold it at the end. 2, the pulses and triceps are coming back. 1, take those arms back up to the sky, lower and lift, lower and lift. Whew. Keep that standing leg really still, hugging the right inner thigh towards your center. It's 5, 4, 3. Try not to wag your tail to the left, keep the pelvis even, and 1, 2 feet down, roll it down the spine. Windshield wiper side to side. Keep the back nice and loose. We take the right thigh into the chest, let go of the left leg. Give yourself a nice tight hug, reach the right leg up to the sky, and bend it back in. Take a few more of these bends and stretches, keeping it active by pressing the tailbone towards the ground. We're not just laying down passively, we're reaching tailbone to the floor. So it feels like I'm pulling the top of my leg to the ground as I pull my top or the heel to the ceiling. Keep it extended, whatever that means for you, and some circles at the ankle. Shaking the cobwebs off on Monday morning. Crack, crack, crack. Let that relax down to the floor. Check in, feel how good that leg feels compared to the other one, and hug the left knee in. Nice tight hug to get you started, and then big stretch up to the sky and back in. Ooh, definitely feeling tighter through this leg today. Make any sound effects you might need. I'm a big fan of the fluttering of the lips on the exhale, sometimes vocalizing. Helps you use your diaphragm a bit more. Reach that leg up to the sky, and little circles at the ankles. Oh my goodness, almost leaving me speechless today. And reverse that circle, always making sure you go both ways. We're gonna do a little kneeling arm work. Like I said, you can totally modify it to sitting pretzel style or in a chair. Relax that leg down. Feel really good, feel really open through those hips, and then come down to your side and back up. So I'm gonna do it from our kneeling variation. So you wanna grab your weights if you haven't grabbed them yet, if you want them. You can also sub in hand weights here if that's what you have. You don't have the wrist ones. Okay, so we start on a high kneeling. Let me adjust this guy a little bit so you can see me. And okay, so I'm in my kneeling position. First thing first about kneeling is that I want to squeeze my inner thighs together. So not
touching them together. I'm still underneath my pelvis, but I'm activating the inner thighs. It's very subtle. It's like you have the ball between your thighs or a block or a ring, whatever. It just activates what's going on there. So arms are at your sides. We're gonna reach your fingertips down to the ground, roll your shoulders away from your ears, try to push the wall behind you away, and then scoop it up. So from the side, it's chest expansion into a nice, soft, rounded, but without extension. I'm keeping my ribs on my hips. So I know it's tempting. We want to go into like some gram business there, but I keep my ribs sliding down into my pelvis. I'm balancing on the very front edge of my kneecap, so it's almost as if I would tip forward if I don't use my core. So it's really pressing front, getting a nice stretch through the front of the leg. If you're feeling really crazy, you can use wrist weights and put some weights in your hand. But remember, the name of the game is arms and shoulders, not neck. And because we're doing such high repetition here, lightweight is the way to go. These are 1 pounded wrist weights. I would go no heavier than 3 pounds total in your hands for what we're doing today. I love heavy lifting, but we don't do high rep when we're doing heavy lifting, and we don't do this type of Pilates-esque movement. Okay, so now we make it more fun. You're gonna sit back into your squat, nice soft rounded elbows. That's gonna keep us from crunching the shoulders. Reach it up a little bit higher as the ribs sink down, and then push the air away from you as you press up, thrust through the pelvis. Inhale down, squeeze to press it back. Inhale down, squeeze to press it back. Each one of these is a stretch. This is a stretch. It's active squeezing between the shoulder blades, but so expansive for the pecs, for the collarbones. So this is when you want to think drop at the pelvic floor, relax through the pelvic floor, absolutely no squeezing in the pelvic floor, and then draw your pelvic floor up. If there was an elevator in your torso, when we squat down, the pelvic floor is dropping down to the basement, nice and relaxed. And then as we lift up, it's traveling up into your belly button as you take the arms back behind you. Get in that habit of thinking about how your pelvic floor is reacting to the movement. And now we just hold it down. Keep the arms continuing to move. Exhale back. Inhale front. Try not to speed it up. I keep getting into like a fast flow here, but it's slow and controlled. That's better. Inhaling and exhaling. Try not to arch at the back, wrap through those ribs. It's 2 and 1. Now I'm going to turn to face you so I don't knock into the wall. Arms are going to come forward. You're going to press up to your hips, open the arms to your second position, palms facing up, elbows nice and soft. You're going to go together and open wide. Together and open wide. The tendency as we get tired is that our arms start to shrink and the elbows come in. So while they are just barely bent, I am trying to energetically reach them, widen them apart so that I keep as much tension through those arms as possible. Check in with your inner thighs. Are you still squeezing them actively together? Make that a little bit more full-bodied by just remembering that your legs are there. Sometimes we get so fixated on one thing that's happening. We're trying to breathe. We're trying to keep that length through the elbow and whatnot that we totally disconnect from another part of our body, and I don't want you disconnecting. Now, add that same little squat. You're gonna sit it back, arms come forward, your nice little serve-a-tray position, and then open it back up, presenting the collarbones. So I'm inhaling down, exhaling up. Presenting the collarbones means open chest, closed ribs. So I know we all want to do this. Trust me, it takes all of my restraint to not go into extension there. It feels so good. It just feels natural. But we keep our core a little bit more active when we remember to slide the rib cage down, and it puts less pressure on our low back. Arms should be feeling some things by now. I told you it was high rep. Inhaling down. Lift through the pelvic floor as you come up. Let's hold it down. Just the arms continue. Now you can let the arms even come slightly behind you, sort of like a fly, but make sure that it's not causing that twerking torso situation. So shoulder blades slide down the back. And you're looking really at where the floor meets the ceiling rather than straight ahead. I kind of am doing that a little bit just so I can make eye contact with the camera. But I don't want to break at my neck. So this is what happens when I jump my chin forward. I want to think long cervical spine. Don't let your hips rest all the way down on your feet. It's 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift the hips back up, super simple, palms down. Let's go thumbs down, actually, not just the palm, and palms up. So this is the biggest spiral that we can do. My arms are straight-ish, they're never locked out. Check back in with those inner thighs, activate them together. Thumbs down, see if you can get pinkies up. I know it feels a little awkward, and again, there's that tendency to dump back into the low back. Resist it. Checking in with your torso setup. Reach those arms a little higher. And even though we're not lowering and lifting, I still want you to think about squeezing through the arm. Feel it more. Be careful not to shrug the shoulders forward. We want to keep the arm bone just sliding around inside your shoulder socket. Very similar to the hip mobility drills that we do a lot, where I talk about just massaging your hip socket with your femur. I want that to be what's happening here in the shoulders. And then if you like, you can take it down into palms down, little squat, palms up, hips press, palms down, little squat. My arms are still at shoulder height, even though my hips are lowering and therefore my shoulders are lowering. I'm not letting any bounciness happen. Can you open your arms a little wider? I know they're getting heavy. Squeeze through the glutes, lift through the pelvic floor each time you press up. Make this so much of a hip thrust that you feel that stretch in the hip flexors. For 3, our last little challenge with arms is going to be to hold this hover, just the arms. 5, 4, 3, 2, oh my goodness, 1, rest it down. And then I want you to come to a face down position after giving yourself just a little stretch here at the pecs, maybe a little head circle. Tags out. Okay, angle this down just slightly so you can see the mat more. And you are going to lay face down on your stomach. So hands are lined up right underneath your shoulders. I have my thumbs lined up with my nipples here, squeezing the elbows back towards my toes so they're not going out to the sides. Pressing the pubic bone down through the floor. Give me a little suction of the belly button towards the spine, not sucking in, but just a little hugging away from the floor. And you're gonna go into almost like a yoga cobra. Lift yourself up, my elbows are still bent, and then inhale back down. Same thing. So I know we just did a lot of upper body. This feels a lot like a push-up, but it's also checking in with that posture again. Legs are hip width apart. If you feel really good, you can squeeze your legs all the way together, but I want to make sure that that doesn't put any pressure on your low back. We're here for 3. Make sure, especially as you get up, each time that you're not shrugging the shoulders. So slide the shoulders away from the ears. And last time, lower it down halfway, press it back up. Lower it down halfway, press it back up. Shoulders are soft but strong, pressing through the knuckles and the fingertips. It's 4, 3, 2, and 1. Rest it all the way down. Quick little shimmy of your hips from side to side. You're going to take that now into a kneeling push-up. So my elbows are in that same tight to my body space, tucking the tailbone under. I'm going to push up a little bit more full range here, up, straight through the arms. My hips leave the ground, and then I bring my chest all the way back to the floor. Exhale on your up. Inhale on your down. Now, try to pull your collarbones, your heart forward as you descend. And try not to C-curve, cover yourself up as you lift. I want to go for 4, 3. Spread the shoulders wide at the top of your plank, open up at the heart. Next one's going to be a hold. Lift it up. Option to stay on your knees if you like. Curl your tailbone under, or lift up to the toes, find a plank. Instead of sinking your weight back into your heels today, Can you shift it into your toes? Feel that a little bit more through the glutes by squeezing in, pulling your chest forward, pressing through your knuckles again, come down to your elbows if you prefer that. And it's just a really simple plank today, nothing fancy. After all that tricep business we did, it should feel fancy even if the choreography is not. I want you to come to your knees if you feel your back at all. Lift your chest tall, tall, tall. Looking at the front of your mat, pressing the back of your head to the sky for 5. Shake, shake, shake. Pull the mat towards your toes. 4. Breathe for 3. Squeeze that butt a little bit more for 2. One more deep breath. And set it back. Nice wide knee child's pose. Sit it back. You want the arms to stay as far forward as possible so you get a nice stretch around those lats. They did a lot for us today. And then if you want to give yourself a really subtle twist, and just notice how that stretch travels, changes. And then slowly drag it in from the very base of your spine. Bring your ribs up on top of your pelvis, your shoulders right on top of your ribs. And you can lose your weights because you're all finished. Let me know if you have questions. Watching on replay. I'm very excited for the collection launching this week, so you'll get some more info about that in your email. And let me know if you need any extra support.